So we'll call a meeting to order. First order of business is roll call and seating of members. Tonight, John Hamm is out. I'll be chairing. We also have Ray Diamante, who's in as a permanent member, Jack Daly, Delia Sullivan, and we need a replacement for John or for John. So I guess it will be Delia filling in as a alternate.
No,
to
Delia's
take
a regular member.
Pardon me?
Delia's a regular member.
Oh,
Mark,
I'm sorry. So then we'll need one other member. Miles is not, he's an alternate, but no longer on the active roster. So Marjorie or Susan, doesn't matter. I guess Susan, you were on first, so we'll put you in as the as a member tonight, voting member tonight.
Okay.
For the record, Carol, do you have all the people that are in attendance here tonight? Or would you like them to state their names? Is there any you don't know? Because I see some phone numbers on the bottom.
okay, I'm gonna read out what I see, and then I'm gonna ask the people that I don't know, okay? So I'm gonna put Jack Daly, me, Paul, Delia, Margie, Peter Malia, Ray DeMonte, I know it's not really Cinda. Ron, Susan Chenard, Jeff Woodard, Woodward, sorry. Barb, Peliquin, Ivan Stricken, Daryl Phillips, Mark Bowden. Is that how you pronounce it, Mark? Okay, Don.
Yes, Carol. Thanks for asking. Yes.
Good name.
Don McPhee.
I noticed you're missing one vowel in yours, Paul.
Okay, Don, what's the rest of your last name? Because I can't read it.
Good evening. It's Dawn McPhee, and I'm from Littleton Regional Healthcare.
Oh, okay, that's what it says. Hold on, I'm writing this down here. Okay, Town Manager Burbank. Kurt Mayer. Ryan. I have no idea. Steer? How do you pronounce your last name?
Ryan, you're muted. If you could come off your muting and assist Carol, we appreciate it. I guess he does want to help you tonight, Carol.
Okay, somebody Martin.
It might be Saint Cyr though, like ST.
Oh, I see. Yep, you're right. That's
Good evening. This is Dave Martin with
okay.
Remedy Medical Properties.
All right. Okay, so then I have a phone number 1-207-650-2441. Can you identify yourself, please? Well, maybe not.
Maybe not. If they want to speak, we'll find out later.
Okay, then I have 603-631-1140.
Hi, this is Kathy Conway with Horizons Engineering.
Oh, hi, Kathy. Okay, and then I have 603-398-8720. And who might you be? I think you're muted.
They are muted. Apparently another silent one.
Okay, another silent. Okay, so we have two silent ones. And Kathy.
If I may jump in, that's Bob Nutter, 207-650-2441. He says he's off mute, but no one can hear him. So that's Bob Nutter. He's the president and CEO of Littleton Regional Healthcare.
Okay,
He's still showing
Hit,
mute on the,
Yeah, have them hit *6 to take it off of mute. Just hitting the regular mute button doesn't work, but *6 will take it off of mute.
there he comes.
All right.
okay, we got you, Bob.
Perfect. All right. Thank you guys for your patience.
Welcome.
Welcome,
Thank you.
everyone.
I think
Carol,
that,
do you have everyone
I believe so,
with the exception of the 603 number?
correct.
8720? Okay. Maybe as we go along, they'll want to speak and we can find out who it is.
Okay,
So the next order of business is the consideration of meeting minutes from September 16th, 2020, and I'm going to put those off till the end. So because of our application here, I'd rather get going with that unless anyone has any objections. We'll consider it after the request for a special exception. And
Good
we'll move
idea.
on-
Good idea.
We'll move on to the new business, which is the request for a special exception for an off-premise sign. The proposal is for Littleton Development Medical Properties LLC under contract to acquire proposed benefit lot upon requiring proposed benefit lot and subject to site plan review, approval, LDMP plans to construct buildings and other improvements to the proposed benefit lot related to medical facility, use the proposed medical development to be occupied by one or more third-party tenants, including Littleton Regional Healthcare. Proposed benefit of the lot is not visible from the main road, thus off-premise signage to be located on a proposed sign lot is requested to direct medical patients and invitees to proposed benefit lot. The proposed benefit lot is approximately 650 feet from Main Street, New Hampshire Route 112, across from Hobo Railroad. Not visible from any main road, including Main Street, New Hampshire Route 112, and Connector Road, US Route 3A. Permission for an off-premise sign requires a special exception. Proposed use showing justification for special exception in land use plan ordinance Article 6-B, Lincoln sign regulations, Section E. Permit requires review and procedure, paragraph 10, sign classification and standards. Subparagraph P, off-premise signs, exception by special exception as provided in Article 8, Section A, Board of Adjustment, paragraph 2, subparagraphs A and D of this ordinance, and Section H, appeals, paragraph 2, special exception for signs, and subparagraph AE. So for all concerned tonight, what we will do is we will consider this request for a special exception. What I will do is I will first ask Carol if the application is complete. And then once we review the application for its completeness, I will turn the meeting over to the applicant to give us their explanation. And then we will be going to a public, opening up to public. After that, we will be closing it to public. We will be going into a voting or consideration mode. From that on, we will make a decision and a vote, take a decision and vote. And that will be the order of the business. So Carol, after looking at the application, do you have any concerns as to its completeness?
No, I believe that it is complete, and my recommendation is that it's complete. But it's up to you to decide.
Okay, I'll ask any of the ZBA members, have you had a chance to review it? And do you have any questions on the application as to its completeness?
I have, and the answer is no. This is Ray.
Ray? Does anyone else? Jack, do you have any questions about its completeness?
No, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
I've
Delia?
read it and I feel it's complete.
Okay, Susan?
I also feel that it's complete. I did just want to note that my husband, Joe, has joined me. He is on the planning board for anybody that needs to know.
Okay. All right, so the application, we'll take a vote. I'll entertain a motion to accept the application as complete.
So moved.
Jack,
Second,
second by Ray. All in favor signify by saying aye and raising your hand.
Aye.
aye.
Let the record show that everybody voted Susan, all voted in acceptance of the application as complete. All right. So we will now entertain, who will be speaking for the applicant?
Well, thank you, Chair Bowden. My name is Mark Bodwin. I'm an attorney at Nixon Peabody. I represent Littleton Development Medical Properties LLC, which is one of the applicants. The other applicant is Littleton Regional Hospital, and we have two representatives from the hospital on the line today. And the property owner gave us certain authorization to act on their behalf. They may or may not be listening in, I'm not sure. But I'll be speaking on behalf of the applicant.
Okay. We have received the correspondence that states that you have the authorization to speak on behalf of the owner. So if you would like, why don't you go ahead and give us your sales pitch here on why you would request a special exception.
Thank you, sir. I really appreciate it. Just by way of background, I wanted to introduce a few folks in case you had any questions for them. On behalf of my client, Barb Pellegrin, Chief In-House Counsel, Daryl Phillips, Land Development Manager, and as well as their engineer, Kathy Conway from Horizons Engineering are all on the line. Carol, I'm not sure if it's possible or if it's easier for the board, but Daryl would be pleased to take the screen over to the extent it would be helpful to like jump through the different exhibits as I'm speaking. If that's too much of a hassle, I understand.
You need to talk to Ron because Ron Beard is the fire chief and he's the host of the meeting, so.
You should be able to share whatever screen.
Mark, the only thing I would like to comment on though is that sharing the screen is great, but if there's comments from any of the board members, we need to be able to see who's requesting that, so, or identifying that. So if anyone has any comments during this time, please make sure that you identify who you are when you're making them, so that Mark can address those.
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
we do have all the exhibits in the packet that was passed out to us today. So maybe just a reference to the exhibits versus putting them up on the screen. Just a thought.
Good idea.
It's up to the board, whatever is easiest for the board. It doesn't matter to me.
I think you could probably, I agree with Jack. I think you probably could reference them. If there's any questions, we could then put them up, whichever ones there's questions on, we could then put those exhibits up. And if anyone has any questions, go that way. So why don't we proceed with
Very
that,
good.
Mark?
Good idea.
Thank you. And just to finish off the introductions, on behalf of the hospital, Robert Nutter, President and CEO, is on the line, as well as Jeffrey Woodward, is the chair of the board. If it's okay with you all, I'll just give a brief background of the project to give you some context and then swing through the 9 or so special exception criteria. So our property owner here is the Clark family. They own 2 undeveloped lots on Railroad Street, one of which is tax lot 112-16, which is I'm going to call the sign lot. And then the other is Lincoln tax lot 112-018, which is a much larger lot, 5.5 acres, which is where the development will be located, which the sign lot will be advertising, basically. The business lot is about 650 feet from the sideline of Route 112 right away. It's not visible from the Route 112 right away. And one of the exhibits that I attached was supposed to show that. I stood there with my back to Route 112 and shot down the way. So you could see this time of year, the Clarks put a piece of wood across the road, and right around there, actually beyond there, is where the land begins. So it's clearly not visible. And in that event, the zoning ordinance allows us to apply for a special exception for an off-premises sign. So that's why we're here today. The sign lot is around 112 feet from the Route 112 intersection. We'd like to be a little closer, but given that the railroad tracks bisect Railroad Street right there. It's just a really kind of clumsy intersection, and it wouldn't be possible for us to get any closer. Our feeling is that we're also going to request a New Hampshire DOT directional sign in the Route 112 right of way, which will be for a medical facility. So it'll be one of those blue rectangular signs saying hospital or something, whatever the state dictates, saying hospital left. And then once you turn at that intersection, looking across the railroad tracks, you would see another sign saying this sign that would say, oh, you're going in the right direction. The medical facility is down Railroad Street this way. So that was the plan. We think it would help with the health and safety of the intersection to help with people, potentially elderly people who may not be familiar with the area. Skipping ahead. As I mentioned before, the sign lot has an existing sign on there, which is for the Hobo Railroad. And the Clarks have graciously said that we can replace that sign with this one. So there'd be no new additional signs. The existing sign there is of diminished quality. It's metal, kind of faded chipping. I think it's probably rusting in some areas. And we think that the newly proposed sign will be look much better for the area. I'll get into this a little later, but in addition to the new sign, we would propose doing some landscaping to spruce up the area. Right now, it's kind of overgrown. There are shrubs partially covering the sign, and we would make it look a lot better with mulch and low plantings and whatever the planning board wanted us to do, make it look better in that area. Given when you get off exit 32, we kind of see that area as kind of the gateway to town. It's maybe one of the first things you see. So we think it would be a nice addition to the town. That was kind of my background. I do want to mention that the proposal for this business lot, which is the 5.5 acre lot down Railroad Street, would be to construct a medical facility. My client would construct that. It would have tenants. The major tenant would be a Littleton Hospital, and there may or may not be other tenants. I can ask the hospital or Barb to chime in if you have additional questions on that, but it would be a medical facility, likely with 1 or 2 buildings, potentially with 1 or 2 tenants. That's the plan for right now. If you didn't have any other questions, Chair Bowden, I could swing through the criteria. I'm happy to answer any questions at this point.
2 questions that I would have. One's a question, one's a comment. First of all, you said that this facility would house more than one business. So would the sign be for more than one business, or is it just for one business?
Well, as you see, we put an attachment to the application, and it clearly says like business 1, business 2. And that's the current thinking, is that it would very likely have 2 separate businesses advertised on the sign. And there may be someone else from my team that could fill in with more detail to the extent you needed it.
Exhibit C.
So for tonight's meeting, you're not proposing the sign as part of the special exception. You're just asking for a special exception to have an off-premise sign. Am I correct? Or are you proposing a specific sign?
Well, I mean, we understand that the ordinance requires us to get a special exception to have a sign there whatsoever. So that's first and foremost what we're asking for, is the permission to have an off-premises sign. Now, the look of it, the size and dimensions, it's going to be a work in progress type situation with input from the planning board and from Carol and others. We have put down there as much detail as we reasonably think we can provide at this point in time as to what we would like, with some color glossy photographs of color schemes and dimensions. But we understand your point that this relief is for the off-premises time period.
Correct. So that's what we're in consideration tonight. Okay, the other comment that I have, Mark, is that in your packet you submitted, you gave a list of, I think, 9 criteria. In our deliberations, we are only going to be considering 5 different criteria. And our criteria pretty much start with number 5 on your list, and 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 are going to be the criteria that we are going to be considering tonight.
Okay. The reason why I put 9 is because that's what the town has on the special exception application. So I apologize if I was incorrect in doing all those additional language.
Our worksheet that everyone has for the ZBA starts with criteria 1 through 5. So if you want to address the criteria that we will be considering tonight, you could start with number 5 and go right through 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, and give us your reasoning why you think you would meet our criteria. And then from there, I'll take questions after that from the board members, and then we'll open it to the general public for question, if that's okay with you.
Sounds good to me. Criteria 5 is the sign is consistent with the Town of Lincoln Master Plan and the stated purpose of Article 6B. I note in the application that the proposed benefited lot, which is the lot where the businesses are going to be located, is zone general use. Medical facilities, which is what planned for that lot, are allowed by right without any special relief from the zoning ordinance. Given that the proposed benefited lot is just simply not visible from the main road, and the ordinance allows us to get a off-premises sign by a special exception. So it seems as though what we're asking for is allowed and fits squarely within the relief requested. The issue we think is important to have the sign is because we're trying to alleviate any potential hazard, road hazard, in connection with kind of navigating a little bit of a tricky intersection, only because of the railroad track is there. So again, we're going to have New Hampshire DOT directional sign kind of somewhere in front of the McDonald's lot. And we think it'd be nice, very nice, to have a off-premises sign in this location, just kind of signify to the folks trying to get there that you're headed in the right direction. And it's really important for the applicant to be able to have that signage to tell people they're going in the right way.
Mark, if I could ask a question about the sign by McDonald's on the DOT right away, just for the record, that is going to be a sign that is going to be provided by New Hampshire DOT?
Right. It's a little complicated, but the DOT, I've been speaking with them a lot, and it's called a tourist-oriented directional sign, even though it's not
Correct.
tourism in general, but that's what it's the program it's under. I'm dealing with a gal in Concord who's the head of that program, and correct, it will be provided by the state. It'll look like those rectangular blue signs that you see around that are generally attached kind of beneath an existing sign.
Yeah, they have a measure getting off the exit 32 on the left-hand side there. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Right. Yep. So if no further questions on criteria 5, criteria 6, the sign will enhance the tranquility of the neighborhood. As I mentioned, the existing sign isn't in the best of shape. I don't think it's been maintained as well as it, could have been over the past couple of years, and there is some rusting and fading and chipping. So we believe that the new sign will be a drastic improvement, thereby not only not taking away from the neighborhood, but actually improving the neighborhood, making it look much better in that area at the corner of Donovan Drive and Railroad Street. The plan would be to use colors to fit in with the natural background, lights, greens, and darker greens. That area of town is so beautiful. Right beyond it, you're looking at Loon. It's just a really nice area. Jeopardize. So it'll be a professional, conservative, greenish, whitish sign. That'll be consistent with other signage in the area. It's not going to be metal. It's going to be wood. It'll look natural. Criteria 7, the sign will enhance overall quality of the neighborhood. sort of already talked about this, but I do think that this could be a new gateway to town. If you're getting off exit 32, this is one of the first things you may see. And I think that the sign will, you know, do a lot to help the area in general, kind of a new professional gateway going down Railroad Street that doesn't currently exist. Again, the landscaping will be drastically improved. And the signage, again, it is going to be consistent with the existing area. That mini golf location is lit up quite extensively most times. So it's not going to be like a red herring. It'll be very similar to what's already there. And again, the ski shop kind of even closer to Route 112 already has that kind of existing animated lit sign. So this would be pretty tame compared to all the existing improvements in the area. Criteria 8, the sign will resolve existing potential hazards. So this is a weird one for us to address, but I think the way we address it is we're permitted to have the medical facility down Railroad Street. And if we didn't have this sign, I think it potentially could, worst case scenario, create hazards. You know what I mean? So we're trying to get to a point where folks trying to navigate to the new facility would be confident that if they take that left or right hand turn at the intersection, they know they're going the right direction, even though they're crossing over some railroad tracks and some other unusual terrain in that area. Criteria 9, the sign will improve unsightly distractions related to traffic, lighting, color, size, overall tranquility. More of the same here. Earlier in criteria 1 through 5, I talked about potential lighting. The applicant hasn't dead set on any sort of lighting, but to the extent it would be lit, it would be lit, during business hours, and it would be dark sky compliant. It would be downward, more than likely LEDs built into the structure of the sign, so it wouldn't be obtrusive or blinking or moving. It would just be more than likely on a timer during business hours, soft light, consistent with the area.
So, Mark, you talked about the lighting a little bit, and I'd like to ask you a question about that. Your lighting, will it be on for just a certain amount of hours? Because, and how, I guess if there are abutters that may be concerned about the lighting, how responsive are you going to be to that? I mean, is it just going to be lit from like 8 o'clock till midnight or something like that, or will it be on all the way through the night?
Yeah. I mean, I think the applicant is open to having on a timer such that it's lit during operation of the business. I don't want to speak out of term, but that's something that we've been thinking about. And I think that's a possible outcome. Is anyone from the hospital that could speak to that point?
Sure. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, who is this?
Yes, Bob.
Okay, great. Hi, this is Bob Nutter. I'm the president of the hospital. The intention would be that during, for our urgent care, for example, while the urgent care would be open there, we'd want to make sure that, it was easy to find, certainly in the, winter times when it's much darker. So that light would probably shut off around 9 o'clock at night. It's not something that we would want to keep on all night long. We'd want to shut it down when the business is closing down as well.
Thank you.
Paul,
You're welcome.
question.
Jack, go ahead.
The president, Bob.
Yes.
The hours of operation anticipated at this point in time, it's going to be here. Does that mean that there may be overnight people staying there for services?
No, we will not have any overnight patients staying there in the future edition on the larger building, if you will, that may house surgical services, those types of things. Those would just be outpatient procedures. They would not be any overnight inpatient procedures there.
So in other words, if, let's say, somebody came off the mountain in dire straits, they might be treated initially there and then taken by ambulance up to regional Littleton Hospital?
Correct.
Littleton Regional. Yep. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, Mark, were you finished with your criteria?
I am, and just on the point of lighting, I'm not really sure if it's this board's purview at this point in time at all, but I just draw your
Correct.
attention to exhibits E2
Well,
In the background
is-
there, you can see a gigantic telephone pole owned by the mini golf business, which shines down. So I don't think that this quantity of lighting is going to affect much of anything, but that's just
all right.
neither here nor there.
Do you have any other comments that you'd like to make or about or anything else on your presentation for this before I open it up to board questions?
No, just that we're hopeful that you're receptive to this, and that if you have any questions, please let us know. We did try to do as much of a thorough application as we could, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Mark. All right, at this time, I'll open it up for ZBA board member questions pertaining to the application. Is there anyone that has any questions for Mark?
I just had one question about the
Go ahead.
visibility of signage that will be on the lot near the building itself. Will that be able to be seen from the highway?
Mark, would you like to
Can you
respond to
repeat
that?
your question? Is your question, Board Member Sullivan?
She wants to know if any of the signs that are on the existing lot will be visible from the main road, Route 112. Is that correct,
No.
Lilia?
No, I'm wondering, once the buildings are up and running, any signage on the actual site of the buildings, will you plan on a sign that can be seen from 93?
Oh,
Yeah, that's a question that I can't answer. I mean, the subject matter of this application is for the lot 16, which is this off-premises sign lot. So I honestly don't know the answer to your question because we haven't applied for that relief or any signage on the benefited lot, which is the 5.5 acre lot down the way. We're just kind of starting with the off-premises sign first and working our way down there.
Delia, if I could comment here, if they have any, when they submit their application to the planning board for the final approval on the building, it will include signage. Any signage will be reviewed by the planning board at that time. So if there's other signs, it will come into the mix of the approval at that point.
Okay.
So that will be considered at that time when they come to the planning board and also by Carol and the staff. Is there any other board members that have any questions? Ray, go ahead.
Attorney Bowden, could you tell us the timing of the improvements and the construction of the facility?
Another great question. I'll maybe have to hand it off to Barb, but I think there's going to be a period of time before construction begins. There's still some work to be done, both planning board wise and planning generally, but I'm not the best person to answer that. If there's someone from
I can
the
answer
Remedy
that.
team.
Jeff, go ahead. Go ahead, Jeff.
I would say construction would start, hopefully, if things go well, mid to late summer.
This year?
Yes.
Thank you.
To get through the planning process, the hope is to have an urgent care up and running as soon as possible. We know it's needed in the town, and we would hope to break ground as soon as we can.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ray. Is there anyone else on the ZBA board that has any questions? Ray, I'll get to you in just a minute, Ray. Is there anyone else on the board that has questions? Susan, go ahead. You're muted, Susan. I can't hear you. No, I can't hear you.
Okay, now?
No, not now, Ray. Ray, I'm talking to Susan Chenard, so if you could hang on 1 minute, Ray. We will open it up to public input. At that time, I will recognize you. For now, Susan, are you there? Can you speak? We can't hear you. I can't hear you. Are you all set? Do you want to phone in or do something different so you can ask a question? Let's give Susan a minute to try and get, does anyone else on the board have any other questions?
One quick question.
Go ahead, Jack.
Originally, I thought the sign said 10 by 10. Then I see in the C1 exhibit, it says 20 feet high by 10 feet wide.
So just to answer something here, we are not considering this sign, Mark, correct me if I'm wrong, Mark, but this sign that was submitted as part of their package is just a concept of what they might do. My understanding is that they're going to take a look at what they really need. What they're looking for here is a special exception for an off-premise sign. The sign is an indication of what they might do. It may not be the actual end result. If I'm not correct, Mark, you can please step in.
No, that's correct. The relief we're seeking is the ability to put a sign at this location. And we tried to provide you with something that we'd like, at this point in time. There was a serious amount of thought that went into it, but to the extent other relief or planning board approvals are necessary for this particular sign, certainly we would need to go through that process as well.
Correct. And Jack, just so you're aware, Jack, the sign, any sign that they submit as part of this special exception will need to go to Carol and staff and probably the planning board to make sure it meets the town requirements. And that would probably be a condition of this approval, just so everyone, would know that it meets the town's requirements.
That makes sense.
Are you all set, Jack?
Thank you.
Okay. Susan, did you come back on and all?
Hello.
No, not yet, Ray. I'm working on it, Ray.
I was looking
Hang
for
on.
the size, but I guess they don't know what size it's going to be.
Hang on one second, Ray. We are getting the board comments first, and then I will open it up to the public, and
Okay.
we'll take all your comments. All right. I will get you first. I promise you. Is there anyone else on the board that has any comments or about the application?
It looks like Susan is connected.
Susan, are you there? I guess not. What I would do at this point is entertain a motion to open it up to public comment. And if Susan comes back on, we can get her comments at that time. Ray,
So moved.
Second,
seconded by who?
Jack.
Jack. Okay, all in favor of opening up to public comment, please signify and raise your hand, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Susan's not here, so we'll go with a 4. All right, we're open to public comment. Raymond, what would you like to say, sir, about?
Well, I was looking for the size, but it sounds like they don't know what size it's going to be.
The size will be determined by the applicant, from my understanding, once they receive the special exception, and it will have to meet current signed ordinance regulations pertaining at the town.
Yeah, thank you.
So I see Susan's on. Susan, are you there?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now, Susan. You're on. Go ahead.
And my question was also about the size, so it's been answered, Sid.
Okay.
I was
Ray?
looking to see if it was taller.
Okay. Okay. Did you have any other comments or questions, Susan?
Nope, I'm
No.
good.
Ray, go ahead.
I would only add regarding the sign, it's also, of course, subject to planning board approval. So sign size would come up at that point as well.
Correct. Are there any other comments from the general public? I see there's a bunch of people here, some phones. Does anyone else want to make any comments about this application?
Joe Chenard does.
Joe Chenard.
Who does?
Joe
Joe
Chenard.
does.
Joe. Hi, Joe. Go ahead.
How you doing?
Good.
Quick
Go ahead,
question.
Joe. Yes, sir.
Some years past, we had Dave Rogers, the hobo, and the golf course all came in together with putting a joint sign on the property. Has anybody looked into the prospect of having all of the people and the abutters join in one big sign instead of having a bunch of small ones in the street?
I think tonight.
Yeah, I can answer that.
Go
And,
ahead, Jeff.
there is not the ability to put another sign on their main big sign out front there. There's some dispute amongst the ownership group over the hobo and the hotel, etc. We looked at just adding another sign onto that main sign that's there, and that was not going to happen.
Originally, they were going to take down Rogers' sign. Dave Rogers went in, started all this. I don't know if you don't believe anybody in the board even remembers it, but Dave Rogers initiated all this. To have a bigger sign for all the participants on those properties. Have one sign right in the corner, but it's Dave Rogers. The time Dave Rogers was in favor of it. And it would eliminate a lot of small signs and just have one big one. And I wish to say that even if it doesn't meet the ordinance, we should pass it because it is a tremendous benefit to the town having an emergency center in town.
Thank you, Joe. Are there any other
And one
comments from? Go ahead.
I might add, how am I going to phrase this now? Will there be any other businesses going on that property above by the hobo that to be sold? Or will there just be these two additions to the hobo property?
We're not considering it at this time, Joe, so I think that's not germane to the applicant tonight, so I'm not gonna.
The point I want to make is, if more people are going to have businesses in the property, and they all want to have a sign down the street, would it be more beneficial to have one big sign for everybody put on it somehow than having a bunch of small signs trying to fit in?
Yeah,
I agree.
Be more aesthetically pleasing and.
good point.
It's a very good point, Joe, but tonight we're here only to consider the application for a special exception for this one sign, so.
I realize that, but just trying to get people involved, start thinking about it. If they come before the planning board should dictate that.
Yeah. All right, is there
That's all I
anyone
have to
else?
say.
Is there anyone else that has any comments from the general public that would like to make them at this time? If not, Mark, would you like to close out, make any comments or suggestions pertaining to this? The questions tonight?
Just want to say thank you. I think on behalf of the applicant and the hospital, we're really excited to potentially do this development in town, which sounds as though it's really needed and could be a benefit to the town. And we think this is just a reasonable signage for the uses proposed down Railroad Street. So thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mark, for your presentation. Okay, so at this time, I'll entertain a motion to close public comment.
So moved.
So moved by Jack,
Second,
second by Susan. All those in favor signify by saying aye and show of hands, please. Aye.
Aye.
Everybody's unanimous. Public comment is closed. So now we will go over deliberations. And we will go through the 5 criteria as set on your worksheet. If everyone has it and you want to pull it up so we can go through that, that would be good. So the first criteria says that the sign is or is not consistent with the town of Lincoln's master plan and the stated purpose of the Article 6-B sign ordinance because. I think the applicant put it rather well that the facility is allowed by this, it's allowed in the general use district. The benefited lot or the lot is not visible from the main road. The ordinance also expressly approves this off-premise signage is allowed, and that the proposed medical facility without the requested off-premise sign be a potential increased congestion along Route 112. So for all those reasons, I would vote that it is consistent with the town of Lincoln's master plan. If someone else would like to add anything to that, I'm amenable at this time.
I would just like to say, for the record, we can say that it was listed as criteria 5 and that we accept it as stated.
Would someone like to second that?
Second it.
Second is Ray. All those in favor of criteria 1, which is criteria 5 on the applicant's submittal, please signify by saying aye and raise your hand, please.
Aye.
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 2, 3, 4. Susan, 5. Let the record show that it was a unanimous vote. Our criteria 2, the sign will or will not enhance the tranquility of the neighborhood because. Someone do you want to use the same rationale for number 2?
Yes.
And you want to say, that it will enhance the tranquility, am I correct?
Correct. As listed as criteria 6 on the application. And I would make a motion that we accept it as is.
Well, I have a motion. Do I have a second by Jack? All those in favor signify by saying aye and raise your hand, please.
Aye.
Aye.
I'll let the record show that it was unanimous. Criteria 3, the sign will or will not enhance the overall quality of the neighborhood in which it is located.
I again would like to say as criteria 7 in the application that I agree and would make a motion that that it's correct as is.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Jack is a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye and raise your hand, please. 1, 2,
Aye.
3, 4, 5. Let the record show that it was unanimous. Criteria number 4. The sign will or will not resolve existing potential hazards.
Yes, definitely.
Ray, would you like to comment?
As Attorney Bowden said, it's a weird condition over there in terms of the intersection, the properties, the signage, and the lack of visibility. So I think it would resolve existing or potential hazards, and so move that this criteria is satisfied.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Jack Daly. All those in favor that the sign will resolve existing potential hazards? And Ray, it says because, so before we get into a vote, do you want to use the criteria that they've established underneath criteria 8?
Ditto. Yes.
Okay, so we have that, and we have a motion in the second. Jack, you're along with that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so all those in favor, please signify by saying aye and raise your hand, please. 1,
Aye.
2, 3, 4, 5. Let the record show that it was unanimous. Criteria 5, the sign will or will not improve unsightly distractions related to traffic, lighting, color, size, or the overall tranquility of the area because. Jack, you want to say something? I see you lit up. Nope. Ray, go ahead.
I noticed in the application it said it'll be potentially soft lighting. Can you guys make a commitment that it will be soft lighting?
Mark, do you want to commit to that or comment on that?
I don't think we have any desire to have harsh lighting, so I think that would be just fine.
Thank you.
And Ray, while you're on that subject, somewhere in the application it mentioned the use of solar panels versus traditional electricity, which I think in these days of conservation would be a great asset.
I couldn't agree more. Amend my motion if you second that.
I shall.
So do you want to restate your motion? Because from what I heard, there was 2 things. Ray was talking about soft lighting. Jack, you were talking about solar lighting. If we approve this with that, we have to get the applicant to agree to that, doing that. So is that the way you want to state the motion?
Yes, sir.
Okay, is the applicant willing to, or do they want to respond to the proposal?
I will comment on it that I would be reluctant to agree to that right now because this is not our property. This is the Clark's property and they've given us permission to put a sign on it. And it would require more space, obviously, to have solar in one way or another on their property. And I don't want to speak for them. They're going to allow us more space.
All right.
I think that's a good explanation. And
Jack was the one to talk about the solar. Jack, do you have a comment about that?
Yeah, again, I think within reason, if possible.
There you go.
So I think the applicant understands the intent. Do you think that there's a need to actually put it on the sign off for criteria 5? Or are you willing to be satisfied that the applicant understands the intent? Jack?
Susan has a hand up, I think.
Go ahead, Susan.
is this not something that the planning board would usually get a little more involved in on the specifics of the sign?
It would, at that point, you are correct.
I would make a motion to accept it as the description in criteria 9.
We already have a motion in a second,
Oh,
so we'll
sorry.
either need to
Okay.
have Ray and Jack withdraw theirs, or we'll go on to a vote.
I'll accept my second, I'll accept Delia's friendly amendment.
So you'll retract yours, Ray? Will you retract your primary motion?
What are we retracting? The solar lighting?
Yes.
We're retracting your motion, so that Delia is saying that she wants to go with criteria 9, which was on the submittal. Am I correct, Delia? With the,
As-
I would like to take the word potentially off there so that it is soft lighting, and I think they committed to that.
If I may, Chair,
yes, go ahead.
but I think it's just maybe a misplaced comma. My insertion of the word potentially was, we didn't want to be forced to have lighting if that wasn't necessary. So if there's going to be lighting, it's going to be soft, but I didn't want a requirement that it had to be lit. That was
Okay.
the reason I put the word potentially in there, and I apologize for any confusion.
So could we say soft lighting, if any?
Okay, so on number 5, it says nothing about soft lighting.
It does on page 5,
Okay, you know what? It's
Roman
gonna take
numeral I.
You know what? I got the page, that one. So we can change that wording, Ray. Ray, would you like to change that wording and say what you would like it to say?
Yeah, we would delete potentially and put in soft lighting, if any.
All right. Are you okay with changing your motion to that?
Sure.
Okay. So we have a motion to accept criteria 9 with the change that it will say take potentially out and say soft lighting will be used.
If any.
Soft lighting, if any.
If any, will be used. Okay. Any other comments about criteria 5? All right, all those in favor of criteria 5, please signify by saying aye and raising your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let the record show that criteria 5 has been satisfied and it is unanimous. So what we are issuing here tonight is a special exception for an off-premise sign. We are not issuing an acceptance of any type of sign or size of sign. That will have to come before the town and the planning board staff. So I guess at this point, all of our criteria have been satisfied and the application is approved with no conditions.
Welcome to Lincoln.
Welcome to Lincoln with your,
Thank you.
Thank you.
well, welcome to your special exception.
Good luck with the rest of it, though.
Good luck with the rest of it, yes. Does anyone have any other comments before we go? All right, then we'll move on with the agenda to the next item, which will be the minutes of September 16th. Does anyone have any changes for the minutes of September 16th? I realize it's been quite a while.
The only thing is your confirmation of your vote.
Yeah, the very end, the highlighted part.
Peter, you all set? You're
Right.
muted.
Nice job.
You're all set?
Nice job.
All right, thank you, sir.
Okay. Good to
Have a
see
good night.
everyone.
Get that
Good to-
snow blower
Peter,
fixed.
good to see everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Good job, Paul.
Okay, so
Oh,
we're
yeah.
talking about the minutes. Delia, did you have any, you said you had a comment?
Yeah, the only thing is you have to confirm what you voted on page 9. in the highlighted section?
The very end, the very end, the
I
highlight.
had that and I looked at it.
Whether you abstained or whether you voted no, it wasn't sure.
You know,
On
I
the
would,
minutes? On the minutes, you mean?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah, you don't want to have those. I'm trying to find the minutes, but I've had so much other paperwork here. I'm kind of at loss with them. So you'll have to give me a minute to find them.
page 9 of 9, and it's highlighted in yellow.
it was the vote
Yes,
on the wall.
I believe I saw that and I believe I abstained.
Okay,
Okay. All right, I'll fix that then.
Okay.
I'm just gonna leave it, Paul Bowden abstained, and I'll take out all the other stuff that came after that.
okay.
I'll entertain a motion to approve as amended.
So moved.
Jack? Moved. Anyone second? Ray seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye, please. Raise your hand.
Aye.
1, 2, 3, 4. Jack, you also have 5. Let the record show that it was unanimous. So now we will move on to, there was one other thing we have to do, and we have to appoint
Third,
Miles Moran to an alternate position. Miles was an alternate at one point in time, however, it has expired. I would entertain a motion to reinstall Miles Moran as a alternate back on the board for the next, it's a yearly appointment. Am I correct, Carol?
oh, I think it's 3.
Is it a 3-year appointment for an alternate?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so for the next 3 years, Ray moved.
Subject to ice cream.
Is there any particular flavor, or does everyone get their own?
I'm not gonna get that specific.
All right, so Ray made a motion to put Miles on as an alternate. Do I have a second?
Second.
why not?
Second by Jack. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye and raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye, all 5. Let the record show it was unanimous. I don't have anything else on my agenda. Does anyone else have anything they'd like to discuss? Carol?
Yeah, I just wanted to mention that we probably should review the rules of procedure to update them. The last time we discussed things, but we didn't finally update them, so what I can do is we can either schedule a meeting just to work on that. I mean, I'm sure other things will come up, but you never know with the ZBA. Sometimes we have a lot of hearings, sometimes we have almost none. So I could just schedule a meeting so that we could, a work meeting or
A work session.
to look at the template for, I could send you the template from the workbook for the ZBA, and then I could send you what we have now and then what we were working on or discussing back in 2018. So
That sounds like a good plan. Carol, do you have some possible dates that we can meet? The thing you want to wait till after? I would suggest we wait till after town meeting and then
yeah,
set up
let's
a
do
meeting.
that. Yeah, let's do that.
Good idea.
And then
Did you
there'll
guys
be a
see
little more
town meeting
time.
got moved?
Pardon me?
Town meeting is now up at the Beacon or whatever days in.
I have no idea. I haven't heard
I
anything.
think so, because I think the school did not want the town to have their town meeting at the school for cleaning purposes and other reasons. So that's what I understand. I understand that that's.
Yeah, I saw it came out today as a alert and on Facebook.
Huh. Oh, well.
So both
Okay,
voting and
so Carol, you will forward us the information you have, and then when you do that, could you also please forward us some dates that may work better for you than not, and we can respond that way back to you, and hopefully everyone can choose a date that works along your schedule. All right, Ray, go ahead.
Carol, I'd just like to say this is an excellent record that you gave us to look at. It was very helpful. Thank you.
Very good. All right. Anyone want to make a motion to adjourn? Susan, you want to make that
I'll do
motion to
that.
adjourn? There you go, Susan.
I do.
Jack seconded it. All those in favor signify by saying aye. It's unanimous, so we're done. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
Good job,
You too.
Paul. Good job, Paul.